the NFL is probably watching the MLB a lot more than he's watching the NHL, a lot more than they are watching the NBA or the MLS, because these are individual stadiums operating as opposed to the Biodome. So now the first league that has tried to go off without the Biodome has had quite a stumble here 3 days into this thing. 14 players testing positive is a lot. Out of a 27-person roster, I mean, that is a lot of humans testing positive for COVID-19. Now, a lot of people on the internet are saying, and we said it as well, the mindset should be that people are going to get it. That's what it's going to be. But the league has no idea what nobody knows what this could potentially do to you out of nowhere. Nobody knows what this could do 5 years down the road, because it literally just popped into our world here a couple months ago. So now every decision is going to have to be made off of what if this thing is the big bad demon under the bed. Like, what if it is, which, by the way, its initial wave definitely was. I mean, it was devastating. Shut down the entire world. By the way, I'm not sure any other thing has ever done that because of the potential devastation that it could cause. Now, are people still seeing that devastation that it once caused? I don't think so. We live on the internet. I don't think it's anything like it was with its first wave. So now it's leading a lot of people to think like, well, maybe it's not as strong as we initially thought it was. Well, nobody can go out there and say that from a decision-making standpoint when you got other people's lives in jeopardy, because if this does end up being what some people are saying it is going to be, I mean, this is a cluster truck from beginning to end in a decision-making process. And I'll tell you what, first time in my life I ever said I want baseball. Now, guess what? Baseball can't happen because of this thing. I'm a little bit upset about it.
Well, to your point earlier, they can't just, with a shortened season, you can't just be like, all right, the Marlins are done. Like, that's 10 games in their division that those teams, then you have to find them 10 more games to play. Like, they need to figure something out, and they need to figure it out very quickly.
We got Jet Passing joining us here right now. Oh, my God. Perfect timing for this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, he and I had a beef for a while because he ghosted me and was too big time for me. But here we are, Monday, July 27th, as best friends again. ESPN's MLB insider, Jet Passing. Attaboy, Jet! Attaboy, Jet! Love you, Jet. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm assuming it's a very busy day for you, so we'll try to make this as quick and brief as possible. What could go wrong has gone wrong for the MLB. Originally, it was going to be a biodome in Arizona or Florida. You told us that the local markets are so important to the business of things, so that would never happen. Now they're doing the local markets. They're traveling stadium to stadium, and over half of the Marlins roster has COVID-19. What do they do here? How is Rob Manfred going to handle this?
It's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. And how they handle this, I don't know at this point. I wish I had a good answer for you. I wish I understood what they were going to do. But honestly, right now, I'm not going to say Major League Baseball is screwed, but they're in a really bad position where there is no good answer. Adam, you can continue to play. And if you continue to play, then, well, the optics of that are a mess. You can cancel the season. If you cancel the season, well, that's a complete mess. Or you could go halfway and you could pause the season. And I do wonder if that's what Major League Baseball is going to do. If they're going to say, hey, we need to step back and see if we can actually do this and make it happen. And I don't know if the answer is yes. I don't know if that pause then turns into something else where the season is altogether canceled. But going out and playing games tonight anywhere, let alone down in Miami where the Marlins were supposed to play, would look just completely tone deaf.
Okay, so I apologize for stepping on you there, middle of that. You said a lot of good stuff there at the end, but let me ask you about this. Adam Silver, whenever they're going into the Biodome down in Orlando, he was very open in saying, hey, if we go down there, we have to be able to operate when positive tests come. You know the baseball world a lot more than I do. I've only watched Rob Manfred put his foot in his mouth on numerous occasions. I would assume that there was some sort of plan in place for if there was positive tests, or are they flying by the seat of their pants right now, you think?
Well, remember, on opening day, Pat, Juan Soto, who's the best player on the Washington Nationals, tested positive for COVID-19, and he was out. And that was one positive test. And the plan that's in place there is you contact trace and you rapid test the people who he has been around for more than 15 minutes at a time in close contact with. You can't contact trace for 12 people when they're testing positive. Everyone at that point is in peril in terms of potentially being a COVID-19 case. And you saw the way that this thing spread. It started out with one player testing positive about 72 hours ago. 3 more guys tested positive yesterday, and then they did tests after the game, and the results came back on those tests, and 8 more players had tested positive. At this point, we don't know the true extent and nature of the outbreak with the Marlins. And so how you can sit here and say that this protocol that we have in place, as robust as it is, as much testing as there is working or is going to work, you simply can't do that. And so that's why the question comes up, is this season actually viable? And the answer at this point is definitely not a yes, like it is with the NBA, for example.
Because they're like the players, for instance, the NHL, I believe they told their players, like, hey, we're doing our training camps in our own facilities, but you go home and you come to the facility, you go home, you come to the facility. Does the MLB have those rules in place where it's like, hey, you're at the stadium or you're at home? And is there those types of guidelines, or were they just expecting guys to be smart? And how do they think this spread so rapidly? Was it 1 or 2 people potentially going to Magic City? What was it, you think?
Yeah, those lemon pepper wings, man. You know, They do not know at this point where the outbreak started. Their question when they were playing the Atlanta Braves in exhibition games before the regular season began, but the exact sort of point of contact, they're just not sure of at this point. But in terms of how Major League Baseball is handling what their players do, there are guidelines, page protocol that say, you know, you probably shouldn't be going to the club. You shouldn't be spending time outside of. It's not a bubble that we want to create. We realize that you're going to be going home to family. We realize that there are going to be things that you have to do, but don't be stupid about it. And here's the thing. The players may not have been stupid. This may not have come from a party. This may have been something as simple, hypothetically, as a flight attendant tests positive and they come into contact with him or her. Like it's like what we know about the transmissibility of this disease is that it is a contagion in the truest sense of the word. It can go anywhere at any time. And the fact that players came down with it and that it spread as quickly as it did inside of a clubhouse, a contained area where players tend to congregate, can't surprise anyone.
I wonder why everybody didn't get it there. You know, oh, you're getting a text right now? Is that from Rob Manfred? Did you just get a text from Rob Manfred right there?
I did not. Someone's trying to call me right now, and I probably should pick it up, but I'm not going to do that.
No, pick it up. Pick it up. You can pick it up. And if anything,
no, I can't pick it up and talk with the guy when I'm on with you. Like, I don't want to give away who I'm talking to. That's not my style. Come on,
okay,
man.
last question then here before we go. If they were to pause the season, suspend the season, or cancel the season from this point going forward, if they were forced to do that because they didn't see any other option, business-wise, would this cost the MLB more money than playing the season or less money if they were to play the entire season?
I mean, it would cost them more. You know, the whole business falls apart at this point. Like, it's not just the lack of ticket revenue. It's the lack of postseason money. It's the lack of money from local television contracts. I mean, this is potentially the worst case scenario for Major League Baseball, which is why you wonder how far they are going to go to try and play at this point.